Hi everyone, welcome to today's infinite length yoga practice. My name is Daria. If you're new to my channel, welcome. So today's class is all about lengthening, reaching, elongating, and extending beyond the boundaries of our physical bodies. We'll be working especially with lengthening the leg lines and eventually working our way into hanumanasana or full splits. So for this class, if you have yoga blocks and you'd like to include them in your practice, you can grab some now. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started whenever you're ready. We'll get started today from tabletop. So climb your way up to your hands and your knees. Align your shoulders so that they stack right over your wrists. Try to spread all your fingers really wide, create length. And then pull your finger pads toward the center of your palms as you claw the mat. And then let's just begin with a few easy rounds of cat-cows. You can go at your own pace. Let the inhale soften your belly, stretch your heart forward, lift your tailbone and lift your gaze for a cow. And then on the exhale, press the earth away from you, hollow your core, dome between your shoulders, and create a cat shape in your spine. Start to ride the waves of your own breath. Notice the tempo and the rhythm at which your body wants to move. And in these shapes, right away, see if you can find more length. So as you inhale in your cow, stretch your heart forward to the top of your mat. Elongate your front body as your back body contracts. Then on the exhale, press the earth away, contract the front body, suction it up towards your spine, and stretch between all your vertebrae. Take 2 more rounds. Start to deepen your breath. Connect it to the movement. One more inhale. And exhale. Find a neutral spine. We'll start to reach the right toes long and back behind you. And then pick up your leg so that it's aligned with your torso. Press down into your right palm and reach your left fingertips to the top of the mat. Take an inhale to grow into all the length. Stretch past the edges of left fingertips and right toes. Now, as you exhale, hug your knee to your chest or maybe your chin, nose, or forehead as you stretch the left fingertips back behind you. Inhale, extend, reach long, keep suctioning your right palm to the mat. And then exhale, squeeze, hollow your core. One more like this. Inhale, extend long. Exhale, hug the midline, drag left fingertips back behind you. Then release your left palm to the mat. Stretch your right leg all the way to the back again. Root into your palms. From here, reach past your right toes and then revolve your leg toward the side of the mat, all the way around to the right. Keep your core connected. See if you can keep your foot hovering and float it all the way to the top of the mat to step outside of your right pinky finger. Then softly land your right foot down and shift your pelvis forward. It's like a wide, low lunge. Come up to fingertips, pull them back towards your pelvis, lift your heart. As you exhale, begin to glide your hips back, flex your right toes, stretch your right leg toward straight and bow. It's like half splits, but with a wider stance. And then let's just flow back and forth between these two shapes. So as you inhale, come forward into a wide low lunge. Exhale, wide half splits, right toes flex. Inhale. And exhale. Try to let the movements flow right into each other. So there's not a stopping point, but there's just a natural in and out, ebb and flow. One more time. Inhale, shift your pelvis forward, lift your gaze, lift your heart. Exhale, glide the hips back to stack over your left knee. Now, root your palms down under your shoulders if they're not already there. Energetically press the earth away from you, hollow your core. See if you can float the right leg up away from the mat. We'll hover it all the way back out to the side, aligned with your hip. Then glide your toes to the back of your mat. Imagine that your leg is lengthening and extending and growing. Then softly land your right knee down to the mat. Take an inhale to stretch your left toes back behind you, lift them up. then press into left palm to reach your right fingertips forward. As you inhale, animate your body with the breath to reach longer. As you exhale, curl your left knee in towards your heart, maybe chin, maybe nose, maybe forehead, right fingertips go back. Inhale, extend, press the top of your right foot down or tuck your toes for more stability. Exhale, hug the midline, knee pulls in. One more time, inhale, reach even longer than you think that you can. Exhale, hug in tight. Then root your right palm down, keep the left toes lifted and stretch them again back behind you. Press your palms down and begin to glide your left leg around all the way to the side of the mat in line with your hip. As it reaches around, try to imagine that it's growing and growing as it steps all the way forward to the top of your mat. Softly, intentionally land the left foot down. Hips melt forward. Come onto fingertips, root your left big toe mound. Inhale, stretch your heart to the top. Exhale, glide the hips back to stack over the right knee. Pull left heel and right knee toward each other and bow. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, ride your breath back. Inhale, wide low lunge. Pull fingertips towards your pelvis. Exhale, hips go back. Left toes actively flex. Two more like this. Inhale. Exhale. Try to feel the breath wash through any spaces that are sticky. It's like a rinse cycle, so the exhale releases the tension. Okay, let's pause in the wide half splits. Root your palms beneath your shoulders. Take an inhale to prepare, almost like a halfway lift in this shape. As you exhale, hollow your core, press down through your palms, float your left heel away from the mat, then glide the left leg around all the way to find the back of the mat again. And then once it gets there, reach it longer and softly land your left knee down to the mat. And plant your palms, tuck your toes behind you, and we'll glide back to downward facing dog. You can transition slowly, press into all four corners of both of your palms as you lift the hips up and back. And then once you arrive, pedal your feet, bend your right knee into your chest, and then the left. Take any other organic motion that you need, anything that feels good in this first downward facing dog of practice. And then stretch yourself more deeply into the earth. Dig your palms down, press them down and forward as you lift your tailbone high. Lengthen your sitting bones away from each other, then breathe down the backs of your legs. You can keep them micro bent. Notice maybe that with the knees a little more bent, you're able to create more of a lengthening effect in the low back. You can think of hugging in at your waistline and inflating your heart toward your thighs also. Take an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees deeply into your chest. Then stay here for an inhale breath. Lift your tailbone higher, press your hands and your toes away from each other. And then on the exhale, see if you can magnetize your heels back down toward the earth and elongate your legs. One more like that. Inhale, lift up to balls of feet. Bend the knees deeply into your chest. Exhale. Inhale, press more firmly into your palms. Stretch your sitting bones wider. And exhale, softly hover or melt your heels toward the earth. On your next inhale, lift your heels and round forward to high plank. Suction your front body toward your back body as if you're trying to compress the midline. Push the earth away down through your palms, then lengthen, stretch back through your heels while you keep them floating over the balls of your feet, and reach forward through the crown of your head. Lengthen your tailbone down toward your heels and pull your navel up toward your heart. Inhale here. Exhale, micro bend knees and elbows and glide back to downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze to the top of your mat. As you exhale, step your way up to a ragdoll fold. Let the feet land, hips distance apart. Then bend your knees a lot and relax your torso over your thighs. As we stay here for a few rounds of breath, immerse all your awareness into the lengthening of your spine. So let's take the hands to interlace behind our heads to really help elongate and stretch the thoracic and cervical spine. Let the crown of your head fall heavy. Let even your leg bones feel really heavy here so that you can bend deeply into your hip creases. And then as you breathe, infuse that space between all of your vertebrae. Float your fingertips back down to the mat. Bring your hands to your hip creases. Keep a soft bend in your knees. Draw your shoulder blades to the back of your heart, and we'll rise up to stand with a flat back. So use your hands as leverage on your hips to rise your torso high. And then from here, crawl your feet together to touch. Create a little bend in your knees to really press down into the earth. Let your toes be spread really wide so that you can claw the mat with all of them. Then imagine that the balls of your feet are pulling towards your heels to tone the arches of your feet, like you're drinking up the earth. And then allow this lift to continue rising up into your pelvis. Lift your pelvic floor. Let your waistline cinch or pull together to stretch your fingertips out and then all the way up overhead. So your heart is lifting. Let this pulling up from the earth rise all the way to the tips of your fingers and then beyond. Take an inhale here. Lift your gaze. As you exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Lengthen your heart to the top of the mat and then softly land your fingertips in front of your toes. Inhale for halfway lift. Stretch up through your legs first, then reach back through your pelvis and forward through the crown of your head. Long, flat spine. Exhale, plant your palms down. Step back to high plank pose. Try to remember which foot you stepped back with first. In your high plank, inhale to grow longer. Exhale, bend your elbows, lower down halfway, chaturanga. Then sink your pelvis and your heart and your chin to the mat. Untuck your toes. As you inhale, engage your quads, press the tops of your feet down, hover your hands and hover your heart. Baby Cobra. Exhale and stay. Take one more inhale. See if you can create more length in your low back by pressing your pubic bone down. Then stretch your heart more forward. Exhale, gently lower. 2 more rounds, rolling Baby Cobra. Inhale, lift your heart, lift your hands, toenails anchor down. Exhale, gently release. Inhale, lift hands, lift heart, pull your inner thighs toward each other. And then exhale, lower down. Plant your palms, tuck your toes, press through hands and knees, and we'll glide back, downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze to the top of your mat. Exhale, step or float your feet to the top. Bring them together, leave a sliver of space between your heels and fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Rise all the way up to stand, circling your fingertips out wide and then up overhead. You can bring the palms to touch and lift your gaze. Exhale, dive down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, extend, stretch out. You can keep the fingertips rooted and then pull them back towards your toes. Exhale, plant your palms. Step back with the other foot, different than last time, to find high plank. In high plank, inhale, lengthen longer, shift shoulders in front of wrists, lower halfway, chaturanga. Then pelvis comes down, untuck your toes, let your heart fall to the earth. This time, you can keep the palms anchored beside your ribs, press into them, and maybe rise all the way up to a little bit of a higher cobra. If this is too much right away, you can stay with Baby Cobra. Wherever you are, pull your shoulder blades to the back of your heart, and then imagine that your heart is radiating up and beyond what you can even imagine. And then softly land all the way back down. Palms plant, tuck your toes. Press either through hands and knees or up to a high plank. Then back to downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze between your thumbs. Exhale, travel there. Inhale, rise to stand with a flat back. Root your big toes, your pinky toes, and your heels. Look up. Exhale, swan dive down, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Really, really grow. Then exhale, plant your palms, step or float back. Lower chaturanga, then pelvis comes down, heart comes down, chin comes down, untuck your toes. This time, fingertips tent out to the wide edges of your mat. Anchor them, anchor your toenails, anchor your pubic bone. Then press the earth away, peel your heart high. Shoulder blades squeeze together behind you. Keep buoyancy in your elbows and shine your heart forward, keeping length in the front and back line of your body. And then slowly lower down. Imagine that your spine is inchworming longer as you release your heart to the mat. Plant your palms, tuck your toes, either press to high plank or come through tabletop and then find downward facing dog. Take a big inhale through your nose. Let it fill every bit of your body with more length, like an infusion of length. And then on the exhale, settle deeper into that length. So lengthening and finding depth all at once. Root your left toes. As you inhale, stretch your right leg high, three-legged down dog. Exhale, lift your left heel, hug right knee to your chest, hollow your core, and step the right foot forward. Sink your left knee softly down to the mat behind you. Then pull your feet together, and as you inhale, rise your fingertips up. Kneeling warrior. As you exhale, glide your hips back towards your left heel. Pull your feet toward each other and stretch your right leg straight or straight-ish as the right toes flex. Now here, fingertips reach back, heart reaches forward. Imagine that someone's pulling you in two directions, like there's strings attached to your middle fingers and to your heart. Pull them in opposing ways. Good, then begin to step back forward into the right foot. Pick up your left knee, reach your fingertips up. High crescent lunge. Really anchor into your big toe mounds. Then from those spaces, grow. Firm your left quad. Hug your feet a little bit toward each other. Draw in at your waistline and lift your rib cage away from your pelvis. Inhale here. As you exhale, begin to shift your torso forward, reach your fingertips back. Start to transition more weight into your right foot and eventually lift your left toes behind you, airplane pose. Your heart stays really puffy to the top of your mat. Left toes reach back behind you. Now stretch past your fingertips, stretch past your toes, stretch your heart to infinity forward. And then we'll rise all the way up to stand, but don't put the left foot down. Skim the mat with your left foot, then reach your left knee all the way up, one-legged Tadasana. Fingertips float overhead. Stay, breathe. Soften shoulders away from ears. Palms can face toward each other. Anchor into your right foot. Dig it down deeper so that you can lift higher. Inhale here. As you exhale, we'll glide the left foot all the way back to airplane. Open your arms wide. Reach your heart forward. Then continue growing into the shape as you breathe. Every time you inhale, let there be an infusion of length. Then let's exhale, bend your right knee deeply. We'll step the left toes to the back of the mat, turn them out to 45 degrees. Softly land your left foot. Prepping for warrior one. Scoop your right sitting bone down towards your heel. Then sweep your fingertips all the way up overhead. Let the soles of your feet soften down as if the earth beneath you was softer, like you're on the forest floor. And really dig into that sweet earth. and then reach higher. Exhale, begin to glide your left toes all the way back behind you. Anchor your left palm down to the mat. As you inhale, find an easy twist. Sweep the right fingertips up overhead. It's like you're swiveling your rib cage all the way up toward the sky so the heart can become glowier and freer. One more inhale. Then revolve right palm all the way back to the top of your mat. We'll shift to pyramid, so pick up your hips, pull your left foot in, your back foot just slightly, and turn your toes out to 45 degrees. Shift your outer right hip back and your left hip forward. Try to keep a little micro bend in your right knee and press your right foot down and forward to protect your knee joint. Now, as you inhale, sweep length up from the roots of your feet. So first elongating the lines of your legs, then spreading that length through your spine by stretching back through your tailbone and forward through the very, very tip of the crown of your head. On your exhale, maybe bow forward, but try to maintain the length so all your vertebrae are still stretching away from each other. Breathe softly, deeply down the back line of your right leg. Imagine that your breath could untangle, comb through any knots that you're experiencing, any sensations that are especially intense. Send more breath to those spaces. Draw your palms back to frame the right foot if they're not there. Pick up your left heel so you're high on the ball of the left foot. Press down firmly into your palms. See if maybe you can float the right foot away from the mat and glide back to downward facing dog. If not, bend right knee, step back however you can. On your next inhale, stretch your left toes high, three-legged down dog, right knee stays micro bent. Exhale, lift your right heel, hollow your core, step left foot softly, deliberately through to the top of your mat. Then drop your right knee to the earth. As you inhale, press down and forward into all four corners of your left foot. Stabilize by squeezing your inner thighs together and reach your fingertips high. On your exhale, keep this length. Just begin to tip your sitting bones back. Stretch your heart forward. Fingertips reach back and left toes flex. Take an inhale to breathe more length. Keep pulling left heel and right knee toward each other. Then softly step back into your left foot. Stack knee over ankle. Press your big toe mounds down to lift up. High crescent lunge. Take just a moment to settle here, feeling into the anchor points down through your feet, then lifting all the way up through your fingertips. Begin to reach your heart forward. Start to transition more weight into your left foot. Fingertips go back, and then eventually the right leg can float up to airplane pose. Let the press down through your left foot be active. Keep your right toes spread so that you can feel all of the air moving between your toes. Keep your fingers spread and then let the air float there. Slowly we'll rise to stand. Press left glute down into your left heel. Right foot floats away from the mat. Then pull your right knee up. One-legged Tadasana. Float your fingertips high. Try to feel like an effervescence here, especially in your torso. Soften your gaze as if you could gaze through whatever it is you're looking at. Then begin to float your right foot back to skim the mat, gliding to airplane. Arms stretch back, right toes stretch back. Elongate as you transition. Bend deeply into your left knee. Stretch your arms to the top to counteract your balance. As you land your right toes back behind you, turn them out at 45 degrees. Then inhale, warrior one. Press knife edge of right foot into the earth and grow your arms high. One more breath here. Stretch evenly into earth and sky. As you exhale, find a lunge, glide your right toes back behind you, root your right palm. Inhale, easy twist. Pull your feet toward each other so your pelvis actually lifts a bit away from the earth. It's like you're infusing your body with air. And then on the exhale, you can glide into the back body to stretch your heart toward the sky and let your gaze follow your fingertips. Take one more inhale. Exhale, circle your left arm around to the top of the mat. Frame your left foot, pick up your hips, pull your right foot in just slightly, turn your toes out to 45. Try to root your back heel and then stretch your left leg toward straight. It doesn't have to be, and really shouldn't be, fully straight. Great option to take blocks under the fingertips here to elevate the earth a bit. Now, as you inhale, spread your toes, keep your knees micro bent, and feel like this lift of energy up from the arches of your feet to your pelvis. And then continue that stretch from the pelvic floor through the roof of your mouth. As you exhale, deepen the bow, cast your heart towards your left toes. It's like it's reaching longer and deeper all at once. Now lift your right heel, plant your palms, dig them down deeply, press the mat away, maybe float the left foot all the way back to downward facing dog, or you can step back. And let's stay and pause in downward facing dog for a couple of breaths. It's like our home base. But even as we stay, this shape isn't static. We're not just stuck here. We're constantly growing. We're constantly stretching deeper into the earth, down through the root systems of hands and feet, creating more length through the spine, more length down the backs of your legs. The growth, the lengthening never stops. On your next inhale, sweep your right leg high. As you exhale, step right foot to the top of your mat. This time, keep the left knee lifted. As you inhale, float your fingertips all the way up overhead. As you exhale, bring your fingertips back down in front of the right toes. Pick up your left foot by pressing more weight into the right, standing L. Take an inhale here. Traction your fingertips back toward your toes, and then spin all 5 of your left toes down to face the earth. And let's stay and just elongate, elongate, elongate. So you can feel like these little incremental, subtle shifts, almost more of an internal action maybe than an external one, but it's there constantly. The length is always with you. Take an inhale. As you exhale, walk your palms back so that they're aligned next to your right foot. You can even bring one behind your right calf, and then lift your left toes all the way up to the sky, standing splits. Keep length in your spine and feel your toes reaching in opposite directions. Again, imagine someone's pulling on your left toes, lifting them higher, while your right foot is being suctioned to the core of the earth. Take one more inhale. Then find standing L again. Walk your fingertips back forward. And as you exhale, we'll step the left toes to the back of the mat. Sink your left knee. Inhale, sweep your fingertips high. And then exhale, glide back to Ardha Hanuman, half splits. Sprinkle your fingertips down. Pull your right heel and your left knee toward each other. Use that engagement, that hugging together of your inner thighs to stretch your heart forward. And then on your exhale, maybe bow forward over your right thigh. You can walk the palms a little more forward. And then infuse your breath with a sweet quality. Let even the breath be stretchier, like a perfect ball of dough that's super, super stretchy. Okay, and you can stay, or if you feel ready for it, press your palms down, pick up your right foot, just slide it a bit forward, and then maybe you stay here. Or maybe pick up the left knee, slide back, coming all the way maybe to splits. If you are journeying down into your splits, try to keep your back toes tucked just for a couple of breaths. This helps us to stay really active. So you can dig your right heel down, magnetize your right heel towards your right sitting bone. Then, with the left toes tucked, pull the ball of your foot toward your pelvis. Everything's hugging the midline and reaching away from it. If you feel ready and you're able to keep these actions, like you're kind of scissoring your inner thighs toward each other, untuck your back toes, but keep spiraling your left inner thigh up toward the sky. Stay, or maybe float your fingertips up high. Feel like an eruption, lifting up from your root through your front body all the way to the tips of your fingers. And then organically let your gaze float up toward your thumbs. Stretch higher and longer. When you're ready, float your fingertips back down if you lifted them. Press fingertips into the earth. Tuck your left toes behind you and glide your left knee in, and then pull your right heel back in. So finding half splits again, and we'll meet here. Take an inhale. On your exhale, step forward into the right foot. Pick up your left knee and then glide into pyramid. Pull the left foot in, turn your toes out and fold. Allow this to be a sweet pyramid. So not necessarily the most intense sensations that you felt here, but more of a massage. Breathing down the back line of your legs. Then look forward, lift your left heel, plant your palms, and suction your right leg bone into your core so that you can glide right foot back, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, sweep your left leg high. Exhale, glide to the top of your mat. Low lunge, left foot steps forward. Then inhale, pull your feet together, inner thighs are activated as your arms float up to high lunge, charge your right thigh. And then exhale, fingertips come down, press into your left foot to lift your right toes, standing L. A couple of breaths here to grow longer and longer. Feel the sides of your neck lengthening and the tips of your ears being pulled toward the top of your mat. Inhale. Exhale, fold more deeply all the way to standing splits. You can walk your arms back. Maybe bring a hand behind your left calf. Drop your head. Soften the back of your neck. Feel right toes lifting. Try to stretch through every fiber, all of the little threads in both of your legs. Extend them, lengthen them, reach them away from each other. Then reground your fingertips. If they're not, walk them a bit forward. Find a halfway lift in standing L. And then bend your left knee, glide your right toes to the back of your mat, and drop your right knee down. Inhale to reach your fingertips up, kneeling warrior. Exhale, Ardha Hanumanasana. The fingertips come down, the left toes flex. Magnetize your feet toward each other. This helps to shift the outer left hip back and the right hip forward, so we're staying very square. Then infuse breath and length into the posture. It's almost as if you're creating a cow shape in the spine, like your tailbone is stretching back and your heart is stretching forward. Then begin to bow. And you can stay right here. Maybe play with the splits or something in between. There's so many steps in between. You can use blocks as props or pillows, whatever you've got. Maybe press palms down, pick up your left heel, shift it forward. Then keep the right toes tucked and glide your right knee all the way back. Take a moment here with right toes tucked to settle into the new experience of this shape on this side on this day. There's always something new to uncover. It's always going to be just a bit different, and that's where the beauty is, really. Pull left heel toward left sitting bone, and then pull your right toes toward the midline as well. Maybe untuck your right toes as you're ready. Press your toenails down, spin your inner thigh to the sky. And while staying active, see what you can soften. And if you did so on the other side, begin to sweep your fingertips up toward the sky. Palms can come together. And then draw in at your waist so that your heart gets puffier and your gaze naturally rises up to the sky. If you lifted palms, go ahead and release them. Sprinkle them back down. Tuck your right toes. Pull your right knee in and then pick up your left heel. Draw it in. Finding again our half splits. Everyone, take a big full inhale here. Then step forward into your left foot. Pick up your right knee and we'll glide the hips back to pyramid pose. Right toes go out, anchor down through your feet. Keep your knees a little bit micro bent so you can really feel the activity, the feeling of the breath as it rises and falls down through all of your fibers. Drop your head if you can. Then pick up your right heel, press your palms down, squeeze your core so you can lift your left foot and glide back, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale through your nose and a cleansing exhale out of your mouth. Let all of that wash away. Bring both of your knees down to the mat, lower them softly, and then shift to a seat so you can roll to your sitting bones. Stretch your feet to the top of the mat. Dig your heels down. And again, create a little bit of action of pulling your heels towards your sitting bones. So the legs are really activating here. Flex your toes and squeeze your ankle bones together. Root your fingertips so that your heart can lift. Then on an exhale, begin to fold forward. Paschimottanasana, seated forward folds. And for the purposes of today's practice, we'll keep the spine lengthening to prioritize stretching the back lines of the legs. So you can fold forward any amount and try to let the folding forward unfold for you. So we're taking it step by step, sequentially, not skipping any openings to find superficial depth, but rather allowing the process to happen naturally. Every time that you breathe in, feel the rush of breath through your spine, combing up the middle channel of your body. And then as you exhale, let it wash back down your spine. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Begin to rise, crawl your fingertips back in. Draw your heels in so you can root the soles of your feet. And then we'll reach the fingertips forward and slowly roll down to lie on our backs. Pull your belly button to your spine as you transition, lowering down for 3, for 2, for 1, and finally land the back of your heart and the back of your head. Now hug your right knee in towards your chest and stretch your left leg straight to the top of your mat. Interlace your fingertips around the front of your shin, then widen your knee slightly so that it hugs around your rib cage, and then squeeze it back in toward the midline. Every time you exhale, imagine that your left or your right knee could melt closer to right shoulder. One more inhale here. Last exhale, squeeze in even more. Then stamp the sole of your right foot up toward the sky. Bend your right knee and we'll find half happy baby. So create like a 90-ish degree angle in your leg. And then reach for what's accessible. Maybe your shin, your ankle, or maybe you can grab for the outer or inner edge of the right foot. And let there be a bit of activity, a bit of energy exchanged between the sole of right foot and the palms of your hands. You're pressing your foot into your hands and then pulling the foot down with the hands. Breathe deeply into your right hip crease. And see if you can glide your inner right thigh around your rib cage and squeeze it toward the midline. Keep your left thigh bone heavy. Close your eyes if that feels okay, and explore all of the sensations that you're feeling. And begin to stretch your right toes all the way up into the sky. You can undo the grip you have. So draw the right leg towards straight, doesn't have to be fully straight. And we'll find a hamstring stretch. Again, grab for what's accessible. You can start with the hands behind the hamstring, and then maybe they slide their way up behind the calf or to the ankle, or maybe all the way to your foot. Keep your arms buoyant, especially if the hands have traveled up higher on your leg. And try to soften your quad, your right quad. Soften your hip crease. And without introducing a ton of force, let's find a bit of depth. So the inhale, imagine that your leg is growing from your hip socket all the way through your toes, like it's getting longer on the inhale. And then on the exhale, just a gentle encouragement, pull your leg closer to your chest. And this might not actually happen in the physical expression. It might just be something that you can feel on the inside. Take 3 more breaths here to infuse length and then infuse depth. Undo the grip. Widen your arms out to the sides of your mat like a T. And then bring your right toes back up toward the sky. We're gonna slowly float the right leg all the way back down to the top of the mat, but imagine that it's like moving through honey or molasses or something so sticky. And then try to let the float down be a float. So it's not about the engagement in the core or the quad, but more just a reach. And as your leg slowly continues to lower, feel it extend. Feel the right toes reach past the edges of what you experience as your skin. And then finally, release the right foot down. Once it connects to the mat, just take a pause here to feel. Notice the difference between one side and the other with curiosity. And then we'll go the other way. So pull your left knee in towards your chest. The fingers interlace over the front of your shin. And wrap your rib cage with your left inner leg. And then let the exhale pull left knee and left shoulder closer to each other. Create a compression between your leg and the left side of your torso. Keep your breath smooth and fluid, allowing the low belly to be a bit soft so the air can move freely. And then bring the sole of left foot up toward the sky. Grab for what's accessible for half happy baby. Imagine that there's something heavy, like a brick or a sandbag, on the front of your right thigh, so that leg stays really lengthening down. And then melt into the shape. Keep the activation between hand and foot, but also allow there to be a softness, like a surrendering. And feel the back of your heart anchoring down, the back of your pelvis, and the back of your head. All these points of connection that you can settle into. Begin to stretch your left toes all the way up toward the sky. Hamstring stretch. So reach and grab what's accessible. And this side might be totally different than the first side. Allow that. Start to find length on your inhale, reaching your left leg longer, like you're growing. And then on your exhale, create a gentle tug of your leg inward toward your chest. Avoid locking out the left knee. Try to keep a little bit of softness behind the knee, a little micro bend. One last breath here, big, deep inhale. And a clarifying exhale. And then suspend your left toes up toward the sky. For a moment, just feel like your leg is getting really heavy from toes down to your hip. Then slowly begin to float the left leg down, and maybe close your eyes as you do so to really feel the suspension. Let it be like someone has a string that's connected to your ankle, and they're slowly lowering the leg down for you, so you don't have to do any work. It's like you're a puppet. And then finally, the left heel lands to the mat. Take a breath here just to feel. And hug your knees into your chest. Try to keep your sacrum rooted. Wrap your forearms around your shins. And feel the back line of your body. Feel your spine really long. Then begin to squeeze in. Pull your knees towards your chest. You can float shoulder blades away from the mat. Use your core to pull into a really tight hug. Take an inhale here. Build some heat and some activation. And then on your exhale, like you're a star exploding, burst out into Shavasana. Let everything spread really wide as if you've been scattered into a million pieces and you've expanded throughout the whole universe. And then connect to a feeling of floating here. You're suspended in air and suspended in this infinite length. Let yourself bask in all of these sensations that you've created, and I'll wake you up in a bit. And start to call your awareness back by becoming aware of shimmering, simmering, flickering sensations. Like all of these shiny bits of stardust that you're made of. Gather all these bits together and feel your body as one whole. And then begin to express some movement in your fingers and your toes, little wiggles. And when you're ready, stretch to infinity, back through your arms and forward through your toes, the longest body stretch. And then sweetly roll to one side or the other. For fetal pose, rest your head down. Feel the palms of your hands connect to the earth and drop. And press into palms. Keep your eyes closed or soften your gaze. And rise to a seat. And as you sit, feel your spine growing longer, down through your sitting bones and up through the crown of your head. Draw your palms to meet in front of your heart. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. Take a moment here to appreciate all of the expansion, the infinite growth that's constantly occurring both on our mats and off. All these subtle shifts and transitions as we breathe in and as we breathe out. Feel the broadness and vastness of your being, and then extend that out infinitely in all directions. Feeling the broadness of the larger universe. And then lift your thumbs up to your third eye and bow forward. Namaste. Thank you all so much for sharing this practice with me today. I hope that you're feeling lengthened and really, really stretchy. I find that this practice helps quite a bit in deepening the physical practice, as well as providing some perspective and helping us connect to the larger whole, going beyond just our internal experience and the ego. So if you enjoyed this practice, make sure you're subscribed to my channel down below. That really supports me. I hope that you're doing great. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, and I will see you soon in another practice. Bye.